Hello, my name is Nonat Jobs, CEO of Nonapple. And I have a question for each of you out there. Have any of you ever thought about death? Now, it's something that may be on the back of your minds, but I don't think it's something we ever truly think about, especially not in modern times. After all, there's so many modern conveniences to stave off death and make death purely an inconvenience or a rarity in many cases. And as any 1980s AD&D grognard will tell you, modern TTRPGs just aren't deadly enough. I mean, you need to reach dying 4 in Pathfinder 2e just to die. Dying 5 if you have Die Hard. That's very difficult. Even if you go down, that gives you 3, maybe 4 rounds of just floating above death's door for someone to walk over to you and battle medicine, or heal, or soothe, or any of the multitude of options to get you back up. Now, in case you're unaware, on November 15th of this year, Paizo is releasing the remastered rules for Pathfinder 2nd Edition, and I wanted to bring all of your attention to something very special in these rules. And that's that death is all around us, everyone is going to die, recovery checks have been nerfed hard, and you're at risk of severe death. Hi, I'm Nonat. This is terrifying. Let's go over the new recovery check rules for the Pathfinder 2e remaster. Apologies, I lost my cool there, because there's no reason to have cool. People have been complaining for years that Pathfinder 2e is not deadly enough. That going down, especially if you succeed and fail every other death save, you're probably not gonna die, right? Well, that's why they added the wounded condition. And to remind you how that works, if you become dying, you reach 0 hit points and you are dying, and you get brought back by a heal spell, battle medicine, whatever, you gain the wounded condition with a value of 1. This means if you drop to 0 hit points again, you're going to start at dying 2. Now, if someone gets you up again, you're now at wounded 2, which means if you go down, you're starting at dying 3. Do you follow what's happening here? That was already pretty scary, but honestly, death in Pathfinder 2e is a rarity. Because you move in initiative order and you have so many rounds of just going down by 1 dying if you fail a check, even if you go down to dying 2, you would still need to fail recovery checks 2 turns in a row just to die. What if I told you now, you get 1 round? Recovery checks in the Pathfinder 2e remaster and dying as a whole are now terrifying. The success and critical success of your recovery checks are the same. Decrease your dying value by 1 or 2 on a natural 20. And the DC is still the same, 10 plus your current dying value. So if you're dying 1, it's a DC 11, dying 2, DC 12. The change is in the failure and critical failure results. Failure! Your dying value increases by 1 plus your wounded value. Let me put this into perspective. You're a standard character without Die Hard. If you reach dying 4, you are dead. You drop to 0 hit points, and you happened to already be wounded 1. That means you drop down to dying 2. The full round comes around and you make your recovery check. You fail. Well, you increase your dying value by 1, which puts you to dying 3. But you also add your wounded condition value, which is also 1. So you're at dying 4, you're dead. In the Pathfinder 2e remaster, if you go down while wounded 1 and fail a single recovery check, or your first one at least, you're dead. No more dying 3 and then maybe bouncing back up and down. No. If you're wounded, you are on death's door. Wounded 1 is going to kill you. Wounded 2? I don't care if you have Die Hard. You're screwed. Even with the critical failure, if you're wounded 1, you go down. Let's say you succeed your first recovery check. You're back up to dying 1. You're not safe yet. If you critically fail, well, guess what? Your dying value bumps from 1 to 4 and you're dead. Oh my god, the wounded condition has never been more terrifying. If you are wounded 2 and go down, you're starting at dying 3. If you can recovery check your way back to dying 1, and then fail, you're at dying 4, you're dead. Oh, and did I mention this applies to when you take damage while dying too? You know how, like, if your character hits 0 hit points in a fire, and you're just taking fire damage every single turn because you're in fire? If you have the wounded condition, that increases your dying value by your wounded condition as well. What this means is if you die while suffering from a persistent damage effect and it doesn't go away, at the start of your next turn, if you were wounded 1, you're dead. Wounded 1, persistent fire damage drops you to 0 hit points. You're now dying 2. The fire damage doesn't go away. Top of your next turn, you take 2 points. 1 from the damage and 1 from wounded. You're dead. Oh my god. So what does this mean? I think this is going to make some groups very happy. Death, let's be honest, death is not common in Pathfinder 2e. The only time you really die is if you are in a situation where nobody else can get to you for an extended period of time. You know, one person stays behind and gets battered into a pulp by a high-level troll while everyone else escapes. Or they fall into a massive pit that no one else can get down into and they bleed out. That's how you die in Pathfinder 2e. But now, you get downed, the healer brings you back. An unlucky critical hit. God rest your soul if it's a critical hit. Wounded 1, you drop to dying 3. Unless they can heal you that turn, there's no way you're getting up. But like I said, I think power gamers and really, really strict groups who play this game, you know, not quite as a war game, but the mechanics do support a very mechanically intensive combat style if you want to play that way. I think they're going to love this. I think if you're playing in a campaign, especially a 1 to 20 campaign, where, you know, you don't necessarily want to kill off a player 12 to 15 months into a campaign. Let's say they drop to 0, unluckily they die. Maybe at that level you have resurrection, so maybe it's not quite as big a deal, but still, if you're a really slow group, let's say you've been playing for 9 months, your group's only level 7, it's gonna really suck if they've played this character for 9 months. They get brought back from wounded because they don't want to be out of the fight, that's not fun. They get dropped by an enemy the next turn. Maybe they only healed like 5 hit points. God forbid, you're an orc with orc ferocity. Orc ferocity just got so much worse because you stay standing at 1 hit point, you're wounded 1. Let's say you do that, an enemy drops you to 0, you orc ferocity and stay standing. The next enemy shoots you with a short bow, dropping you to dying 2. Nobody is able to heal you that round, you fail 1 save, you're dead. My god, it's brutal. So, I say, if you're playing a very relaxed, casual, especially roleplay heavy game, maybe use the old dying rules. I've already heard from some people how much they hate these new dying rules, and it would have been interesting to see the old checks as a variant, I suppose, but I think the fact that they're in the old rulebook anyway is good enough. I'd say if you really want your game to feel the threat of death, use these rules. If you want death to be a rare sucker punch that can come out of nowhere, use the old rules. Because with these rules, people are going to die. It's cool. Like, if you want death at your table, if you want your players to feel the threat of death, and even more importantly than that, they want to feel the threat of death, use these rules. But remember, hilariously, a bunch of people are going to groan when they hear this, which is kind of sad. But player consent is very important. If your players don't like these recovery check rules, don't make them use them. You know, if your players really love their characters and they don't want to die from 2 bad dice rolls, use the old rules. You know, gauge table interest. It's very rare that I'll look at official rules for Pathfinder 2e and go, wow, that's not how I'd play it. But this is one of those cases. So, let me know what you think in the comments. Do you like the new recovery checks? Do you love that really big threat of death? Or do you prefer the old one, where death is a lot harder to do to a player character because, you know, that's the point. They're heroic. The story is about them. They're not supposed to die. If they die, it's supposed to be a tragic turn of events that took 3 to 5 bad dice rolls, not 2. So, let me know what you think in the comments. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you tomorrow with a very interesting video. I'm very excited to upload that one because I think it's going to get some mixed reviews and it'll make people think. So I'm excited. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. And until next time, no nat ones.